All right, everyone. Welcome to the Untapped podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I have a fantastic guest today. I have Miss Taresa Scott, founder of Blueprint Design. Y'all don't even understand what we're about to do today. We're about to make something happen today. But Taresa, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell everybody in the Untapped family who you are, what you do out in the community, and also out in the world.
Appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So everyone, again, my name is Taresa Scott. I am the founder of Blueprint, which is an education technology company. So we focus on all things from instructional design, e-learning development, all the way down to learning management systems. And really, where we make an impact, and the hardest in the world is our main focus is on adult learning in the workplace. So you talk about onboarding, upskilling, and reskilling professionals. Um, and these could be on a wide variety of topics. We've supported teams who are focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, leadership training, executive training. Our biggest focus is on making sure people get the skills they need that are most relevant to their role, the work they do, so they can go out into the world and be great and apply those in the most practical way possible. So that's what we do. That's high level, but that's us in a nutshell.
Hey, I love it. I love it right there. So we're going to get straight into it. When I say straight into it, we're going to get straight into it.
Just
So
go.
tell me what you think. You were talking about the upskilling and what you do with your business. Tell
Mhm.
me, what is diversity, equity, and inclusion to you?
Oh, that's a good question. Diversity means various cultures, backgrounds, perspectives, experiences, generations, like everything that is the same, opposite, linear, all of that's diversity to me. Equity is, I think, being mindful of having a
Mhm.
level and playing field for each and every person to have a seat at the table, to allow their voice to be heard, their opinions to be spoken, and down to inclusion is genuinely um, not just saying, okay, you can sit here, but we can't say anything. You can sit here, you can be voiced, and actually you can lead, you can be in front. Um, to me, that's what DE&I means to me. In every aspect, it's not just the workplace. That's in every aspect.
I love it. I love it. Now, you talked about the equity piece, someone having a seat at the table. What do you feel is the problem with getting everyone a seat at the table? Because as you can see, we're both we're heavy on LinkedIn. We do quite a bit. I do social Saturdays. I see you participating, you dropping knowledge, you dropping information about yourself. But, we had to actually kind of build our own seats instead
Mhm.
of having someone pull the chair out and say, "Hey, take a seat." What do you feel is the problem with everyone not getting that seat? Why aren't people getting opportunities?
you know, the best way to say this. People are some people are so insecure that they're afraid of allowing you to be in front. They can't
Mm-hmm.
handle what you bring to the forefront. Your beliefs, your opinions, all of that, and they want to shadow you. They want to put you in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why a lot of people don't get brought to the table. There's a lot of politics around that table, and so I think that's what the big that's yeah, I think that's the big thing with it when it comes down to it. Egos. You got
Mm-hmm.
egos. There's a lot happening at the table. I think there's not a lot of logic that takes place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's selfishness. But it comes down to egos and confidence. Like whether it's high confidence, lack thereof, that whole
Mm-hmm.
that whole nine.
I think there's a vetting process that needs to happen when you're having leaders, especially in the corporate space. You need to vet the person that you have selected to take this certain role, whether if it's an associate director, if it's a director, if it's a vice president of the company. You
Mm-hmm.
need to take a real hard look at them and take a hard look at their charted past.
Yeah.
How are they when they deal with people on a day-to-day basis? And you said something, the ego part. um, when they get challenged, it's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
I am one that is very open and vocal in things state. And if I strongly believe something, especially when I'm bringing facts to the table,
Mm-hmm.
that's when that ego steps in. Like, well, how dare he say anything on this? Or Why is he speaking on something that he should know about? Then you want to look to your person to your right and to your left, and you say, "Oh, where he come from? He just got it. How did that happen?" The thing is that with any company that you work for, doesn't matter who it is, you should be able to allow them to have a voice. They should be able to speak freely on things that are going on in the company space, especially when it is to the they can make something better in the company. But you also talked about the word selfish. Well, I didn't come up with the idea, so I'm going to take it from him and I'm going to take all the credit for it. And we know that happens quite a bit in the corporate America space. And we're not bashing corporate America at all here. We just stating facts. From two former employees that have been in that space, have seen it, have seen how politics play a key factor and how people move. You're not going to sit here and make statements and say, well, I'm going to take this from him and I'm going to take that from them, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Not on my watch.
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
You know, and I've been in a couple of predicaments, like personally, where I've seen where I've spoken up, like try to talk to someone one-on-one about something, and then 1 minute I'm getting invited to all the gatherings and all the, you know, I'm at the table. The next thing I know, they're like, "Oh yeah, we met the other day," and I'm like, "I didn't know about that." Or I've been in a meeting. I give out I say something. I give out an idea. I was like, "Oh man, oh this is great, yeah, Taresa." And then they got that one person who's like, "Oh yeah, but why? But like, why are you minimizing the idea? Everyone's on board. You're the only one that's not here. Like, this isn't just about me. This is about everybody. But you're trying to minimize the idea. You know, I've been in. I know I've been there. I've been there for sure.
But here's another question for you. So you said egos, you said selfishness. How much does intimidation play a factor?
You know, when I talk about egos and things and really confidence or lack thereof, that's intimidation though. And you know, and for a long time I made that my problem, right? You know, like I tried to be like, oh well, let me just try to help this person or whatever the case is, but it's not a personal problem. Like, and how much of that what weighs in, I think I don't know, it's kind of hard to say, but I think one bad apple spoils the bunch, you know. So
yes,
is it 50% of the time? Is it 75% of the time? It kind of feels like it's the majority.
Yes,
but
yes.
It's tough to say because I've seen ego show up, you know, that show up in so many different ways, and I'll sit back like, wow, like you too about
yes.
this.
Yes.
So yeah, it feels like the majority, but I don't want to throw a number out there because it's hard to say. But to me, in my experience, it feels like 80% of the time, and I'm like, okay.
And you know what? I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, and I'll always say this, it doesn't matter how educated you are. It's about what you know. If you know something and you feel that it can add value to a situation, that person that's in that room needs to be able to speak on it. You should not know something or you're intimidated by how they came across. You should allow them to just, okay, you just made this better for us. So guess what? Let's do this. Let's have on a project. Let's have you work on this and you come back with some data and you tell me what this looks like, let's say in 7 to 10 business days. And then if the data comes back and says, all right, this is exactly what he said or what she said, run with it. But instead, you want to say, well, I you know, this person, they're just a little bit too strong for me. You know, I don't know where they're coming from with how they're saying this. No, that is the problem in that space. People all have a voice. God gave us a mouth for a reason, and he didn't tell us just to all be quiet.
Exactly.
He didn't tell us to be quiet. He wants us to speak openly and freely on things. If you shut people up, okay, well, if you're the only person talking, Tell me how far your business gonna go. I'll wait.
Exactly.
You still gonna be waiting, because who's gonna speak about your business? Who's gonna have that word of that's gonna go out there and say, "Oh yeah, y'all need to go check out Taresa." But if you're the only person speaking, who else gonna talk for it?
Exactly.
Nobody.
And personally, if you sit close to the table, you might feel a little smarter, got some fresh ideas. Why not embrace it? Like,
Yes.
then we can talk about delegating. Like, to your point, now we talk about delegation. Okay, well, leave this project. Show me what the results, because you know a lot about this. I can learn from you now. There's nothing wrong with that. I think too many people get into these positions. They feel like, oh, I've been here 10 years, 20 years, however long, and you know everything. No one knows everything. Not even the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He's still figuring it out. That's why he has a board to consult with.
Yes.
You know, like, we're all still learning and evolving. What's wrong with saying, I don't know, can you help me? Well, oh wait, that's a great idea. Like, lean into it. Why do we get so shaken by that? You know.
Well, the shaking part is simple. It's called culture, and that's the culture that they're in. And if till that culture changes to where you're going to be more open, and I'm going to get on that in a second here when we talk about Gen X to, let's just say, your millennials and Zers. We're going to touch on that in a second, of how looking at all of that and how they come across one another and what we're looking at in the corporate space. But until it's a mindset, and you can't build culture in a day. You can't build it. To me, you can't even build it in a year. It takes years to build a culture. And there's some of these companies are too big. You know, you have the front levels, they're doing something over here. The people in let's say Atlanta, Georgia, are doing something over here. And let's say in LA, they're doing something over here. We got to get to the point where we're all doing the same thing. Yeah. And if I was to switch positions into another position, I should be able to, let's say, go to Seattle, Washington, and I'll be able to do the same thing that I did in Atlanta, Georgia. Or if I'm in Los Angeles, I should be able to do the same thing in New York. But if I can't do those things, and things are different because of how the way you may live, or how the way you do business, or just how the way I speak, that's a problem. And it makes you wonder, well, in that same room, does color play a factor? Does gender play a factor? Does age play a factor? Because we really could hit on age discrimination when it comes to these situations. Age discrimination is real, everybody. I don't, that has nothing to do with black, white, green, yellow. It has nothing to do with any of that. Age discrimination, for one, you have someone that's 57, let's say 57, let's say 55 to 60. 55 to 60, got everything that you would probably want in a person. There's not a flaw. They have a flawless record, but you don't hire them because they're, in your eyes, too seasoned. And I'll never use the word old, too seasoned. Yeah. And instead, you hire the 23-year-old to 25-year-old that's fresh out of college that may not know everything about it, but you're saying you're going to build this off of potential. Okay. Am I looking for potential to where in 6 to 12 to, let's say, 18 months that it falls on its face because the person doesn't know, they're not seasoned enough, they're still trying to figure it out? Or do I want this seasoned person over here that can walk straight into the role, run it, don't have any questions, but yet we're finding on LinkedIn that 55 to 60-year-old is the one that has the green banner, open to work, more likely than that 23 to 25-year-old. And I'm not saying that the younger generation is able to find jobs just immediately, because it's not true. We both have encountered where they still out there looking, they still out there searching. They're just trying to land on their feet. But how do we change the age discrimination dynamic to where it benefits all?
To be honest, and I want to talk about that because age discrimination really goes two ways. So when you're more seasoned, absolutely it shows up, not a doubt. But when you're also on the other end, you're in the younger end perspective, like out of college, it shows up the exact same way.
Yes.
And I think a piece of it is a little bit of business. And what I mean by that is they can pay younger people to come in, let's say 17 an hour versus, you stay here XYZ years. I need to be paid $30. I'm not doing a job for 17 an hour. That young person out of college is like, oh, I don't have any bills. I'm just trying to get my first apartment, whatever they're trying to do. I'll take 17. They don't know any better. They just trying, like you said, just trying to break into the market. But
Yes.
I think mentoring, coaching,
Mm,
is a big
mm,
thing. I've been
mm.
in organizations where I've talked about career development plans, like career development strategies, because that's a real thing, whether you're mid or late to your career, depending on where you start with a company. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of folks who don't know how to navigate the space. When you talk about personal branding, what's it look like in an organization? Network,
Ooh.
for different opportunities, experiential learning. A lot of those things need to take place to help these folks, because if you can be like Thanos out there collecting rings, collecting,
Ooh.
collecting skills. And I think a game changer, honestly, reverse mentoring. Like, don't be afraid because you are 55, 56, 7, however old in the workplace, that you can't lean on that 30-year-old to put you on game to something. Because there's
Yes.
something you both can benefit from each other. And
Yes.
that's how we show up a little bit different in the workplace, taking advantage of that knowledge that they have, because they will give it to you and vice versa. Again, allowing them to voice their opinion and hear that out. Because like I said, I've seen discrimination on this side as well. Like early 20s, I remember like going after a role. I had worked at that company probably 2 or 3 years already, been mentored, top person in sales. I'm training them. I'm training my team. I've trained the managers on some skills. And then one of my peer of mine got hired over me, and that wasn't the issue. The issue was the comment my manager made. Well, oh, Taresa, if I was your age making this much money, I wasn't making this money when I was this much money when I was your age. So, you'll get them next time. What? What?
That's not gonna sit well with me, because that makes me wonder what's going on behind the closed doors. Because they could be part of a conversation that X'd you out because of that factor.
And then the person quit 30 days later.
Okay, hello, 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 hello.
and I got told that coming. I sat there another year, you know. So it's like I said, it happens both ways. It happens both ways. But I think, like I said, to solve it is looking at reverse mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
skill development, talk about career development plans, like actual strategies, personal branding, all those good things. That's how we can really change the dynamic. I think that would be the different factor. Like LinkedIn, that's yours. Brand yourself. Make yourself an authoritative. What do you like at work?
I
Brand
am
yourself.
trying. I'm trying to get. I am trying to get people that are very young, that are just, let's say, coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I know Facebook and Instagram, that's your thing. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. You don't understand the level of people that you can meet through LinkedIn that can help you get that job that you're looking for down the line. So you said it works both ways, and I completely agree with that. And we can break this down into kind of sectors.
Oh
You
yeah.
have the 18-year-old that's fresh out of high school. They don't have, let's say the scenario is they don't have a dream of thinking about going to college. That school is just not for them. So they're going straight into the workforce, and they're looking for what potentially fits them. What is their skill that they got from high school, or a skill that they just have learned, just because they Googled it or have just been practicing at it, that they can apply to a potential position. What I always tell that 18, let's say 18 to 21-year-old, because that I want to make sure I give a good range. That 18 to 21-year-old that has no education or no will to want to go to college, they don't want to go to the military, and they also don't feel that they want to go to a trade school and actually learn a skill. All
Mm-hmm.
right, how do you start off? What do? You take that opportunity and you build it, and you say, all right, tell me three things that you're good at, three solid things,
Mm-hmm.
and you have them listed. And then you have them go out there on LinkedIn and you have them search those same fields and you have them go reach out to people that are local in their area, or I always say hubs. And I know some folks will be like, well, what is a hub? Well, let's just say they live in my hometown of Monroe, Louisiana. That might be a hub area. But the next biggest city that you have to your west is Jackson, to your west is Shreveport, Louisiana, and to the east is Jackson, Mississippi. So you're going to be looking for folks in Shreveport all the way down I-20 until you stop in Jackson. And you try to see if you can find someone in those areas that can assist you with the 3 targeted skill sets that you're looking for, or you say that you want to either learn, or you're good at right now, or you have already started studying, or you were killing in your grades because you was knocking it dead in the park in high school, and your teacher was saying, hey, I think you'll be good at this. You have that skill set. You have this. Sometimes people are going to be good at customer service where they can talk on the phone all day. That's fine. And I always say, never knock that job, because that job can take you from $14 to $17 an hour to where 2-3 years down the line, you might be managing some people making $25 to $30 an hour. And that puts you ahead of that college student who is just freshly coming out of college. So then you get to the next step. You got the person that's fresh out of college. They have a degree. They might have 2. You never know. And then they have a minor that goes along with it. And they're thinking, oh, man, well, I got this degree. I should get a job. I think that mentality, and I will say, and I'm guilty of this.
Me too.
I had that mentality.
Me too.
In 2007, when I graduated from Northwestern State University, and I was like, oh, man, I got a degree. I'd be able to get a job somewhere. Somebody going to take me.
Yep.
And 9 months, no job. Didn't matter what I applied for. I had job offers that were like $8.50 an hour, $10 an hour, until I finally got a job and it was $12.29 an hour. And I was like, okay, I got to start making some ends meet because I ain't got no money. I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And you got to way up. But I think that mentality of the young person thinking that they can just jump into something real fast has to cease. Opportunities are out there. Are you going to get that other job because of the, they're saying, oh man, I got to get this person that's seasoned out of here. No, to me, I think more of the seasoned professional needs to be mentoring that 18 to 21-year-old or that 22 to 24-year-old that's fresh out of college that has no experience. They might have worked while they were in college. They might have gotten an internship, but they haven't been able to stick somewhere. Yeah. You got to show them how to stick and not be able to have them jumping from here to here to here to here to here, looking for whatever they're looking for because they don't know what they're good at. You have to tell them 3 things. Find the 3 things and stick to those 3 things. Don't. That's the key to me.
And to your point, like LinkedIn, like, of course, way back when LinkedIn was not a thing. Like, you didn't have this much access to people the way we do now, especially to see, like, essentially to see their resume, because that's what LinkedIn essentially is. And to your point, like, you decide, okay, I want to do graphic design, I want to do animation, I want to do videography. They're on LinkedIn. Look people up, and I would tell people, you'll be so surprised by the folks who will respond. You say, hey, I am looking for assistance on learning more about what you do. I've seen some of your work. Like, check out their website, check out their stuff. Like, I've seen some of your work. I'm really impressed by. I'm really inspired. I would love to learn X, Y, Z from you. Would you have time to talk? I mean, 15, 20 minutes. People don't mind spending with you. And you never know. You sit down. Somebody might want to spend, an hour. Follow up another time.
Yes.
They might say, you know what? We'll meet every month. We'll meet quarterly. You just never know. Like, reaching out and asking. Like I tell people, the worst they can say is no and not respond, and that's okay. That's okay. But if you don't open your mouth, you'll never know. Like, a closed mouth won't get fed. So you use LinkedIn is a resource. Use it.
That's because people lack humility. They're not humble enough to just go out there, and their egos, and it goes back to the ego conversation. They're step in, they're like, I'm not going to reach out. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And you stop yourself and you kind of stop your blessing. Cause I'm like, wait, this person has everything that you're looking for over here. Why you won't reach out to them? Why are you afraid? That also tells me that your social skills are not built. So what happened in high school or what happened in college to where those social skills are not built up? And that brings up those other questions like, all right, what did you really get out of your degree? Or what did you get out of your high school experience? Or what is happening at home to where you're not social enough to where you can reach out to someone? But I can see you on Facebook and you pop lock and dropping it. Like
Right.
seriously, like
Yeah.
you got those social skills, but what about your professional social skills? And to
Right.
me, I think the inclusiveness part needs to be inclusive to where we're getting these kids or the young adult ready. And some instances, I don't see them as ready to where they can just take on something or they're ready to just on their new challenge because mom and daddy or grandma and granddaddy, they're not gonna always be around to make sure that you good. You got to go out here and sometimes drive this thing, and you're gonna crash and you're gonna run into some dead ends. It's gonna happen, but you got to be able to change your life to the better by taking some risk, and those risks and include just going out here and just say, hey, teach me this, show me this, tell me more about you, tell me about what you do. Can I shadow you? I don't even, you know what? That's a word I don't hear anymore. Shadow. Like, why? Why we don't hear that anymore, Taresa? Tell me why.
You know, here's the thing. People don't know what they don't know. Like, and that's so real. Like, and I think with COVID and everything happening, like, I don't know if the conversations are really being had the same. Where like even networking, people cringe at the words of network. Like it. Okay, I've been in some bad situations. I get that. You know, I'm not gonna knock it. But if you get around the right people, right community, you know you can tell some people's mindset. There are literally people who are just so genuine in helping you. And yeah, because I remember I've shadowed. Um, I did fast food, customer service, sales, you know, the whole nine before I even got to my career. And it was all just building skills. Like I didn't know I was navigating. I said, you know, I'm gonna go here. Opportunity came. All right, I'm gonna go there. Another opportunity came, and you figured out along the way. I think another thing is recognizing too that this is an imperfectly perfect world. Like no one has it all figured out. Just because you see somebody with this big title and all this, they had to figure it out. They're still trying to figure out something. They have that next big challenge, the next big idea, whatever the case is. Like no one just has it all together. And again, we don't. No one person knows everything. So it's okay. I think we just don't have enough of these conversations. Like we don't see enough of the various. Because I learned early. Like I had a supervisor way back when he said, Teresa, you know what? You just have to fail for it and fail often. And I didn't know what he meant by that at the time. But as time progressed and different opportunities came, different challenges came, rejection came, no's came, I was like, I'm gonna keep going. You know, and because when you make a mistake, you learn from it. Success doesn't grow out of success, it grows out of failure. Those lessons are really the biggest blessing. Like you just have to do it, like and just go for it. Like literally just go for it. You know, I think too, and this is just my power idea. So anybody can take what they want, leave what they don't. But I think everyone, like young people, should work a sales job at some point, whether it's for 6 months, a year. I think you will learn a lot about people. You will learn a lot about how to like a lot of psychology, like you know, body language. Yeah,
Love it.
like I feel like yeah, because like I did it for 4 years, and I've been at it for so long now, but I don't. But there's some things that are just ingrained in me from that moment. Like at the time, I hated it. Oh, it was terrible. But those skills I acquired are so valuable today for me, and so that's why I'm not afraid of no. No's happen. Okay, no, indefinitely, not right now, you know, but they happen. That's okay. And so I think, you know, getting comfortable with that rejection, but like knowing that you may get rejected, but then how to bounce back, how to keep moving forward. Like you can't let that one little no stop you. Because all it takes is one yes. All you need is one yes to move to that next level. To that one yes to change your life. That one yes to open that next door. You don't need a whole lot of yeses. But you will go probably through 100 no's before you get it. But you have to you have to go forward. You have to go forward. Like, and that's the thing we need to really, really instill in these graduates so they know that. Like, do not be afraid of that. No, okay. They say no, all right. So talk to somebody else.
You done said something, and I said this to one of my former bosses. I said, a lot of these jobs is nothing but people skills, psychology 101. That's all it is. There's all of this other stuff that you try to put into it, doesn't matter. Take all of that out. People skills, how you deal with people on a day in, day out basis. Psychology 101, learning the type of person that you could be dealing with on a day-to-day basis, you could be speaking with on a day-to-day basis, you could be just chatting with them or sending them, excuse me, or sending them emails every day. It's the same thing. But when you add these complex things into it, you're making something that is so simple very hard for no reason. Let it go. Let it be what it's going to be and call it a day.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it because, oh my gosh, you'll talk yourself in and out 1,000 times, stress yourself out, and you don't do anything. And I tell people, like, if you think about it, like, look at 2023. This year is almost gone. We're weeks away from 2024. Years go by so quick. You're 18, then you're 19, then you're 20. And you still haven't figured out. That's okay, but you're making progress, right? You can look back at your 18-year-old self, 12 months back, wherever age you are now. You can look back 12 months, like, you know what? I wasn't that. I'm not that same person anymore. So I'm doing something right. I'm moving forward. If you can see progress happening, then you're doing the right thing. Like those small wins get you to the bigger one. That's another thing we need to be mindful of. Like the huge grandiose success that you see somebody out there with. I'm gonna tell you it took a lot of a lot of things, a lot of no's, a lot of nights up, a lot of stress, a lot of happy moments. It was a lot of every emotion you could feel before they got that big win. So celebrate the small ones. Celebrate the small ones. They add up. They matter. They matter.
Most of your billionaires, millionaires are over 40. They didn't get to where they were in their 30s or their 20s. They were still figuring it out. It's a learning phase. It's like you're having training wheels, and you're riding on them training wheels forever and a day. And then finally, man, I look up and the training wheels and finally just disappeared, or that somebody stole them, or they just walked off. Because now I'm riding this bike and I'm on it and I'm gone and I'm not worried about anything else. People need to understand patience. It takes time. It's going to take time for you to get where you want to go. But the inclusiveness piece, we're seeing a lot of companies go back to this work in the office culture now. And, I know COVID changed a lot of things where it gave people that freedom to be able to work at home. So, of course, we're looking at your baby boomers. You got your Gen X. They're probably used to that going into the office. Now, the millennials, which we kind of fall under, we're kind of the type where we see it both ways, but we're kind of leaning to our Gen Zers who want to see that flexibility and be able to work from home. What do you think is the problem, or what do you feel that corporate America needs to change, or they need to learn that, and I don't call it work-life balance anymore. That's no such thing as that. Because if I'm going to a job 85% of the time out of the year and I only get 15% to myself, that's no balance. That's not a balance. That's not an equal balance. That's nothing. But what if I was working from home and I had true flexibility? Let's just say if something happened at my child's school, then I can go and pick them up, go take care of that, make sure they're good, get back to work. What do you feel that needs to change with corporate America and their mentality about working from home and working in the office?
To really look at the numbers, like when COVID hit, we had no option. So what did you do? Figure that out. Like I need, even though people who work call centers go home and do that job effectively. And I think the reality is, if you can look at the metrics or performance or whatever you use to measure things. If there's not a lack in performance, then why not have that flexibility? I'm not saying people don't have to be all remote, but because there are folks, even in millennials, who want to go to office, even Gen Z want to go into office, but flexibility I think is king, and that's why I feel like there's a lot of almost like a bid war in the talent market right now, because there are companies who are like, okay, you got some states that are like, we're gonna do a 4-day work week, they implement that, and you got some companies like, all right, well, we're gonna have a hybrid. Well, and then you got some companies where you have to be on site, and does that job really require you to be in the office 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week? Does it really? And in office doesn't guarantee productivity. It doesn't. Like I remember going to the office, I spent 2-3 hours building relationships, laughing, talking, eating lunch, so that doesn't guarantee anything. I think companies need to lose this mindset of control.
You said something now.
Yeah, you get a lot more performance, productivity, engagement, allowing flexibility to take place in meaningful engagements. Like if you have me come in, it doesn't always have to be a potluck or some giveaway, but if there's like, let's say a team meeting, we want to see everybody's smiling face, I get that. Happy to come in. If it's outside, I'm happy to fly in. But let's make it purposeful if we're going to do that. And I think we've been proving that it can be that flexible, but we have to get out of the mindset of controlling. And thinking that, well, if we have them here, we know they're working 8 hours a day. No, you don't.
that part right there where you said it doesn't guarantee productivity. I've heard leaders say that, well, we don't see this or we don't see that within the company anymore. And that is a sheer factor because they're working from home. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. It's because don't say that they're not motivated, because they're very much motivated. They would not want to tell you to your face or tell you in a survey that I enjoy working from home. I enjoy being near my family every day. I can wake up, I can take a shower, I can put on some long johns and a shirt, and I can sit in front of a computer. And if I need to, I can go get a dress shirt and a tie real quick, throw it on real fast, do my presentation, and then 15 minutes later, I can undress out of that and then go back to my normal day. People love that genuine flexibility. I don't think it really hurts the people skill part of it, because look at what we have. Look, we're using StreamYard. We have Zoom. We have Google Meet. We have all these different tools that are out there for video conferencing, to where I can speak to my team or I can speak to my leaders and say, hey, I got this idea, I got that idea. Tell me what you think. Or you can go back to the old method. Just, hey, pick up the phone or send a text. We have too many ways to communicate. There's no reason. This platform that I just found out with my new job, Slack, I knew a little bit about it. I heard about it, but great instant messaging system to use, to where you can build and use with your teams, and you can have little huddles on it as well. So we got to get out of this mindset of we need to be face to face with everyone every day, when we know some folks are true introverts, and we need to really look at that inclusive piece in that. We have the introverts, we have the extroverts. Some folks are just set in their ways. They're not going to change based on either one. Every day, that could bring anxiety to them, being around a bunch of people every day. They enjoy being that true introvert, being at home. You can
their own space, their own quarters.
Correct. So to me, I feel that when we speak on diversity, this is part of that. When we're looking at that equity and inclusion piece on that, we need to be able to look at that person from a psychological standpoint and say, all right, how are they doing mentally? And mentally, that means they could be at a job that they're really unhappy with. And especially now, they're away from their family more times than not. And I just talked about it. 85-15 is probably about the average for most folks. 85% of the time, you at work. The other 15% of the time, you finally get an opportunity to, just see your family. But what if that was a 55-45 or 60-40? I bet you
Yeah,
more people would be more motivated in their jobs and what they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
no, I agree. I mean, and you're not even considering like I remember I worked with someone who drove like an hour a day to come to
Mhm.
work, and that's without traffic. So don't say if you got traffic. So you going, let's say, hour and a half back and forth to work, 3 hours is driving, 8 hours to actually be in the office. Your kids asleep. The wife is asleep. You're
Yes.
saying good night. You don't see your family to the weekend. Like you said, to your point, that's not work life balance.
Mm-mm.
That's not that. There is no balance at all. Like I live at work and I visit my family on the weekend. I
Mhm.
just it's like going home to a hotel. That just it's a night stay. You
Yes.
know, so
Yes.
I
Well,
think about like
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your point.
oh no, I was just gonna reiterate. Like I think about like flexibility. I think is king. To retract Gen Zers to retain millennials and beyond. Like that's what's needed. That's here. I feel like that should stay. That should be remain in place.
I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna hit on this last topic.
Yeah.
And then this is about, you know, I watch the WNBA. I enjoy watching ladies get up and down the court. It's just fun to watch during the summertime and just seeing them do their thing. But some things, you know, over this past season and seasons prior bother me about how the females are being treated. And I
Mhm.
think that rolls into a lot of what we see in corporate America. When it comes to that equity piece, men to
Yeah.
women, and as a female, you probably can relate to this. And what I'm going to touch on is I'm going to go all the way back to the last NCAA season where we're talking about Angel Reese and we're
Mhm.
talking about Caitlin Clark. And to the viewers, if you don't know, we're talking about the LSU Iowa game. And then we're going to touch on the WNBA. And that'll be the last topic. And then I'll let Miss Taresa, you know, have the rest of her night. That's what I'll do. I promise you. But a lot of things happen there, you know, with Caitlin Clark, she can go around, she can talk smack, she can do this, she can do that, and she's a queen of a court. But Angel Reese does it, and it's a problem. She's portrayed as a thug, or how dare she do these things? And I'm not attempting to make this a white black thing. I
Yeah.
want to make the parallel of, well, what if men do this? Men can go and talk smack in football, basketball, baseball. They can go fight this, that, and the other. But the female does it. Oh, y'all looking a little strange.
Mhm.
Wait, shouldn't she be a little bit more ladylike? Why is she acting like this way? Why is she trying to act like a guy?
Yeah.
I hate that parallel. I really do dislike that parallel. But it also, when you really think about it, what are your thoughts when it comes to you have this Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing, but how about how people feel in the corporate America space when there's a female that is leading and she's upstanding and she's speaking her mind and she's doing great things with the company? But then you have a lot of men that are in the company saying, I think she needs to stay in her place. That male chauvinistic approach where you're not
Mhm.
including that female in part of the let's say sitting at the table where you're pulling out her chair and you're being the perfect gentleman, which you should be doing. Instead, you're just looking over there with the side eye like, yeah, I'll just be glad when we get rid of her. What do you feel needs to change there? Not only just from a basketball perspective, but also
Yeah.
just in that mental mindset of female versus male in the professional space. What needs to change?
Well, one, not believing all women are just emotional, or a
Mhm.
bitch or this and the third because she's demonstrating that she's being a little assertive.
Mhm.
And assertiveness is not a bad thing. Like if you say something and stand on it and stand your ground, okay. If she has leadership qualities where she's saying, she wants to lead the team, do X, Y, and Z. If a man were to show any of those characteristics like Andrew Reese, he would just be a leader. No one would think twice about how he's feeling, EMS or anything like that. It would just be, all right, being Bob today, he's just doing his thing. But Angelica said something, it's like, oh well, okay, are you feeling all right? I mean, they're in the exact same mood. I mean, and let's also not act like men don't have emotions or can't show emotions at the point they do. Like, like I think it goes two ways. Like, if someone is being assertive or standing their ground, it's not a negative thing. That's a leader. they're stepping up. They've said something, and they stand on it. That's what they mean. That's wonderful. You got some people in those places that are a little shaky,
and they are shaky, like, very shaky.
Yeah, and just the same, like women, they have an off day, whatever the case is, however it shows up. But men do too. Like, let's not act like they don't have that. Because Bob could be a bitch too. I mean,
Bob could be a builder, but he can also tear some stuff down to where some folks sitting up here looking like, well, wait a minute, man, you told me you could fix it. You Bob the builder, you can fix it. Well, what happened to you fixing it? You didn't fix it.
Right.
So it might take that strong female to come in, and that I don't know. It's just, I had a strong grandmother that raised me. I watched her do like just wonderful things, in her everyday life. And I'm literally saying to myself, y'all really, really need to start treating our females, no matter their color, treat them better. Treat them with some class and some respect, with some dignity. Just thinking about this, and I promise last point, the WNBA, the NBA. We've seen it. The WNBA athletes are sitting in airports because they're waiting on a coach flight. While these NBA athletes, they can go on a private airway or airstrip with their chartered flights, and they can just go wherever they're going to go. And it's no issue. Now I know what everybody's going to say. Oh, Jeremy, the money got a lot to do with that. This to do with that. These owners are owners of usually football teams. They're owners of other basketball teams. They're owners of all these different things. You're telling me that there's no money. You're telling me, I just watched the NCAA women's tournament, and it was the most watched of the two tournaments between the women and the men. I'm watching the WNBA finals, and you're going to tell me that these ratings aren't shooting through the roof because these girls are balling. I want to see Asia Wilson on the screen. I want to see her every day. I want to see her. Matter of fact, I want to see her right now. I think she can go play in the NBA. She might dunk on somebody. I want to see that.
Yeah.
But the issue is that we have this mindset of, well, that's really not that important. I mean, look at. Don't make the comparison to football. Look at what they're playing. They have to make their money doing this, and they're making pennies on the dollar compared to the NBA athlete. They have to go overseas. We saw what happened to Brittany Griner over there in Russia. We don't want to see our athletes have to go overseas just to make a quick million. They shouldn't have to do that. So my question to you is, how do we change this narrative of, all right, the men are superior to the women when it comes to treatment, especially in sports, but also the table in corporate America, because we can see it every day, that this superiority thing where, hey, I'm the guy, I have the pants in a relationship, you're just going to just do what I tell you to do. That don't work that way, because most women that I know probably going to tell you off.
Yeah. I think the reality is more people speaking up. I mean, and I know there are women who've spoken up where retaliation takes place. So I think when one speaks up and person up to become the majority who is speaking on this, and they don't back down, they stand their ground on it, I think that's when true change will take place. Because a lot of times what happens, especially in corporate, is that somebody says something, then somebody else gets scared. And even though they agree with that person who spoke up, they won't speak on it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about that situation happened to them just last week, whatever the case is. And I think we have to stand up for ourselves more and be vocal about it. because the less we say, what we are saying with that silence is that it's okay, and it's not. And I think that's the reality. And even other men, because there are men just like you who will say, you know, nope, I don't
I shut
appreciate
it
that.
down.
I don't
I shut it
appreciate it.
down.
Stand up like
Yes.
anyone, like speak up. You see it
Yes.
a lot of stuff that happens is not always behind closed doors. It's right there in our face. But you have 10 people in the room and everyone's just kind of looking around at each other. So speak up.
Until everyone starts to speak up and we have more men speaking in those spaces, nothing will change. I understand the branding, and I see a lot of NBA athletes wearing the WNBA shirts. They're wearing all of this, but I need more of them that have that power to speak up on what their finances look like, how we need to improve it to where they have a little bit more of the fair going their way instead of well, we'll just get there. It's going to take, it does not take 25 years. Does not take 25 years. They've been around long enough. They are fully established. It is time to change this narrative. And until we start valuing what they bring to the table, and I will say they bring a lot to the table. Dawn Staley, I watch her every day. I just have to just scroll her Twitter and just be like, man, this woman here, she is powerful. She is awesome. She is great. She could be a NBA coach with her mindset. Becky Hammond, she's been an assistant under Greg Popovich. I need those faces in those bigger seats, and that might be able to change some of this narrative when it comes to men to women. But
you got men. Yeah, you got men in the league who one individual makes more than the entire women on a team for the WNBA. That's wild. I mean, you got folks like LeBron. He's a billionaire, you know, and you got folks like Steph Curry, like with these 7-figure type contracts, and you got women who are making 6 figures. They're just as good as them. You know, it's wow. It's like wow. So
it's
yeah,
crazy.
It's a lot of work to be done. There's so much going on. There's a lot of work to be done, but hopefully we start seeing some ground break, some, like I said, some earthquakes, some things shatter. They pull it apart, piece it back together, and go forward.
Well, Taresa, you know, this has been awesome. We've had our sit down conversation, just like we sitting on the couch talking to one another, having a drink. You know, this has just been awesome. One thing we do with Untapped, we allow our guests to name their podcast. That's kind of like our gift to them. So tell me if you have a name in mind for your podcast on today.
So for this episode.
For this episode, tell me if you got a name in mind.
Ooh, I can't. I don't know. You caught me off guard with that one.
Hey! I told you, you're gonna get surprised.
I don't know. You know, and then the most foolish thing is coming to mind right now, and I don't even. It's so foolish. I don't want to say it out loud. So you know,
you can always get back with me at a later date and time and tell me what you want it named as. But that's our gift to you. You can name your podcast. We're gonna put it on our website. We'll make sure it's on our YouTube updated. That way you can always go back and reference the conversation. We just appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy day. You're a busy lady. I know you're a busy lady because I see you out there grinding on LinkedIn. I see what you're doing. And hey, I appreciate it because you're motivating a lot of people and professionals out there by doing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. Thank you. And thank you for having me. Like, I enjoyed jumping in. You know, I reached out to you and said, hey, when can we jump on and do this? So I appreciate you for being here, supporting me, responding back, because little do the audience know that's me and Jeremy met via LinkedIn, me just reaching out. Hey, how you doing? I see we worked at the same place before. I want to hear about you. I want to learn about your experience, what you got going on. And that's just, we've been chopping it up ever since.
That's it. Y'all, everybody out there, y'all can catch her on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow her, connect with her. I promise you, you won't regret it. Of course, you can always find me on the LinkedIn profile or the platform. You're going to see me every Saturday posting something on social Saturdays. If you would like to get tagged, just send a reaction, post a comment, vote, talk about who you are as an individual. You'll be surprised what you can gain. And I'll just say, Taresa, we both have benefited from it. We both have seen how professionals will go back and they'll reach out to you, but they'll also sow a seed into you. And I think at the end of the day, that's what everyone needs to be able to do. You need to sow a seed into other folks because you never know how that seed can grow and blossom into something great.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yes. All right. So to our viewers on YouTube, we're going to shut this stream down. We thank you for watching the Untapped podcast, and we'll see you next time.
All right.